This video is going to demonstrate how to do the Web 1 review and Web Standards demo for Web Design 2. Once you're in Blackboard, please go to the Demos page and then look for where it says Web 1 Review and Web Standards. And what you're going to do is right-click on the demo starting files root folder, save that, and hopefully you've already made your Web 2 folder and your assignments and demos folder inside of there. If you've not done that, please pause this video and go in and do that now. If you've already done that, you can save to the Web 2 demos folder. And then if you go inside of your Web 2 folder, demos, you'll see the zip file there. So go ahead and double click on the zip file, and then you can throw the zip file away. And you're going to see that there is a CSS file in there, there's the index, that we have an image in there, and as we started to do in Web 1, for those of you who remember, if you had it last quarter, we just started to get into the habit of taking the index page and putting it right inside of Chrome. Okay, so there are a few things there for us. Not too much, but just enough to kind of get us started. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is show you how you're going to open this if you are working in Dreamweaver and if you're working in Atom. So those of you that are working in Atom, you might be able to kind of fast forward through this part a little bit. Okay, if you are in Dreamweaver, go ahead and open up Dreamweaver, and you should be in your Web 2 folder now. If you do not know how to do that, then please go back and watch the video that I made that shows you how to set up Dreamweaver for Web 2. Okay, so we should have something inside of the demos folder now. It's not showing it for me right now, so I'm just going to right click and I am going to come down to refresh local files, and then it's going to show up. Again, to see this, I just put my cursor somewhere in the empty area in the files panel, right clicked, and then went down to refresh local files. Okay, so if I open demos, I'm going to see that there's the Web Standards demo start, and in Dreamweaver all you have to do is double click on index.html to see the code, and then you're also going to want to open up the styles.css, but don't do it through here. It's linked for you right here, so this is how you would look at that code. Okay, if you need to zoom in or zoom out, you can use Command plus, Command minus. That will zoom in and out of your code for you. And you can also, you also have some viewing options. So you can go to view. So we want to be in code, but you could do split and you can do code. And then you could like see your CSS on one side and your HTML on the other. And if you don't like that, you can just do view code. Whenever you're making changes, you want to make sure that you're constantly saving. So if I click up here and I type some things, you'll see that I've got the little asterisk up here that's telling me that I need to save my file. So I'll hit Command S, or if you are on a PC, that's Control S. And then you'll see that the asterisk goes away. Okay, I don't need that, so Command or Control S, and I'm good to go. So that's pretty much what you need to know if you're doing this in Dreamweaver. Okay, now if you're going to be coding in Atom, what you need to do is open Atom. Okay, and if it opens with all these tabs, you can just close them, and then just take your Web Standards Demo Start folder, drag it right inside of Atom, and double click your index, and double click your CSS, and they are open for you. Again, you can hit Command plus or Command minus to make your code larger or smaller. Now in Atom, you do want to go to View, Toggle Soft Wrap. Okay, so again, that was View, Toggle Soft Wrap, so that way it wraps your code around. And that's how you would open these things in Dreamweaver or Atom. Okay, so the rest of this, it doesn't matter if you're in Dreamweaver or Atom because the code is all the same. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So we need to start on the index page, and the first thing that we want to do is change this title. This is a horrible title. We need to change this. Okay, so the title should be something about our content. So it's going to be about Erik Johansson, and I think I like misspell this guy's last name like 3 or 4 different times in here. So if I were doing this for an actual project, I would make sure my spelling is correct. So I'm just going to come in and say about Erik Johansson, and he is a German photographer and photo retouch artist. There we go. This key right here, this is referred to as the pipe key. If you hold down Shift and you hit the key to the right of the right square bracket or the right curly brace, that will get you the pipe key. Okay, last quarter in Web 1 we talked about the HTML5 shiv and how it really isn't that necessary anymore, so I'm not going to have you guys include it, but you could if you wanted to. We do need our CSS resets, so I am going to go to Google and just type in CSS reset. Click on this first link. There's all this code right here. I'm going to copy, highlight that, so I'm going to hit Command or Control C to copy. I am going to come into my code editor and I'm going to make a new file in the CSS folder. So I'm going to right click on the CSS folder and choose new file. And if you are in Dreamweaver, it's just going to let you name it right there. But please make sure that if you're naming this in Dreamweaver, that you first hit Command A or Control A and then start typing, because it cannot have that HTML document there. I'll actually do that step next in Dreamweaver just to show you. So the nice thing about Atom is that it lets you actually tell it what its file should be called. Okay, so that's reset.css. And again, if I were in Dreamweaver, I would need to right click on this and go to new file and see how it puts the HTML in there. You would have to hit Command or Control A and then type in reset.css and then hit return. Right, I'm not going to do that here though because I don't want to make 2 files with the same thing. Okay, so open up your reset CSS and then paste and then save. And then that's all that we need that for. So we're done. We do need the CSS link for reset. So I'm going to highlight this entire line for the styles.css, copy it with Command or Control C, and then go above and paste and just change this to say reset. Okay, so you might need to pause the video at this point and kind of go back and see what I did. So bottom line, I made a new file for the reset CSS because that did not exist. I went to Google and I typed in CSS reset and I went to the first link because it's pretty much always going to be MeyerWeb. Copied this code, pasted it into the reset.css document and closed it. And then I just added the link for the reset CSS. A reminder that reset always needs to come first. Okay, you have to have reset first. And when I say first, I mean it has to be before styles.css or it's going to mess things up. Okay, we have some metadata that we need to include in the head tags. So I'm going to do left caret meta name equals quote description. There we go. Go outside of the quote and then space content. And this content is something you make up. Now this content will be shown through Google, so you want to make sure it's something that has correct spelling, correct punctuation, correct grammar, and more importantly, you want to make sure that it is something that explains, like a brief explanation of what this site is about. So for this one, I'll say Erik Oh, I keep misspelling this guy's name. I'm so sorry. Erik Johansson is an international photo retoucher and photographer based out of Germany. And yeah, I think that's good enough. You know, as long as you have at least a sentence in there that kind of explains it, then that's fine. The other one that it isn't something that is going to be necessary in all your assignments. I do start to make it optional, but I still want you to know about it. Whoops, is meta keywords. So we'll do meta name, and this is keywords. Now you cannot change this. Like you cannot make this something different, and you cannot make this something different. What you can make different is the content. Okay, content. And then for keywords, you're going to put in 7 or so comma separated words that someone might search for in order to find the site. So I'll say Erik and Johansson. That last name's going to haunt me. And then photography, surreal, because this work kind of has a surreal feel to it. Photo retoucher, fantasy, artist. You know, I think you guys kind of get the point then. But then make sure you also close that caret. Okay, so make sure you have those closing carets, or that won't mess things up. All right, and then the last thing that I want to do in the head tag is the favicon. So I am going to open up Photoshop and make a new document that is 16 pixels by 16 pixels. You could do 32 by 32, but I'm just going to work with 16 just to show you that it's possible, and then the resolution is 72. Okay, so that is tiny. So I will zoom in, whoop, here, and then just go ahead and put some artwork on here. It doesn't really matter what it is. In most cases, you would want it to be something like the logo or a symbol from the logo or something that would make sense and be relevant to the content of the site. So we'll put, it's going to be very, it's going to be a little bit blurry. So we'll put an E and a J here for Erik Johansson. Oh boy. Okay. Super tiny. All right, so that's good for this. So I'm going to save, whoops, I'm going to save this for web. So Shift Option Command S or Shift Alt Control S will do that for you. And then this one could just as easily be a JPEG. And whenever you're saving the favicon, this goes inside of the working folder, because we're not going to be using this file. What we're actually going to be using is a file that we make from this one. So we are done with Photoshop, and on Blackboard I do tell you, make it this size, and then here's the link to actually generate the favicon. So you can do choose file, and then we want Web 2, demos, favicon, create icon, and then see it kind of gives a little example of what it's going to look like. Great, thank you. Now this just put it on my desktop for me. So what I need to do is or I'm sorry, it put it in my downloads. So I just need to go to my downloads. So here is the favicon.ico. So for this, I am going to put it inside of my image folder. So you might have to pause this video and find where it saved that ICO file for you. Okay, and then we're going to add it right here. So it's going to be left caret link. I'm gonna make my a little bit larger for you. Sorry that I didn't do that sooner. Okay, so link and then href, and then you're gonna put in the file path, which everyone remembers their file paths, right? You might be laughing right now. That's okay. So as long as you know that this means that it's inside of a folder called image, and then this is the file name. Okay. It's also has a relationship, and the relationship is that it is a shortcut icon. And then the type, we actually have to type this one out, image/x-icon. And then save. Okay, so I just saved that. So now I want to come in and refresh. There is my fave icon. Depending on your browser, it might be in the tab and it might be like right here, but it should be showing up. We have our reset in, and okay, we can continue on. There is an image that I want to include, so let's go in and include the image now. So I'm going to put the image, I'll just put it below this paragraph. So I'm going to do image source, and it is img slash, that is the image name. I just want to copy and paste this name. So just to show you what I did, I just right-clicked on the image file name and I went to rename, just that way I could copy and paste it. I didn't actually rename the file. Okay, but if you don't want to do that, you can always pause the video and then just type in what I have here. Okay, alt, and then we'll say sample of Eric's work. So I'm not typing out his last name again. Okay, great. We are missing a few other things. We are missing a main tag. So I would probably assume that this is main, right? This is the main reason why someone is here. Okay, let's kind of get our tabs correct. Okay. And let's just, as a reminder, let's go in and add a fake navigation. Okay, just because, you know, it's been a while, and let's kind of get back on the same page. All right, so hopefully you remember that whenever we do navigation, we do this inside of a bulleted list. So I am putting in, like I put in the opening and closing nav tag and the opening and closing UL tag, and now I'm going to do the LIs. And inside the LIs is where we have the A tag. So we'll have a href. Just going to do a £, just to make it a dummy link. I'll write home, and then I'll close my A tag, and I'll close the LI. Now, if you're going to have the nav tag, it should be a list of links. So you should have more than one. So I'm going to highlight this and copy and paste. And I'll just change this to say about, and I will change this to say contact, and then I'll save. Hey, look at that. We got some more content there. All right, so a few things we got to change. Like our image isn't responsive. It's not kind of moving around. We don't like that. We could go in and style the links. We'll kind of see how much time all this is taking once we get there. So the next thing that we're going to do is move on and start styling some of these things with CSS. Okay, so now we are ready to move on to the CSS. So let's jump to our CSS document. And we'll see that the H1 and the paragraph are already styled for us. We did mention that the image tag needs style because it's not responsive, so I'm going to style the image. If you had more than one image in here, I would highly recommend you to put a class or an ID on the image and just style that class or ID, so that way you do not change all your images. Okay, so I'll tell it to have a width, and we'll say 100%, although you could tell it to have a different percentage number, but it does need a percentage. So width should be in percentage, and then just to show you, I'll hit Command S. So this is, come on, save. Whoops, 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 whoops. Save. Okay. So this is, there we go. I had to hit refresh again. So this is my responsive image. It resizes that, that's great, but whenever it gets this wide, it's distorted because the image isn't that big. So you need to put a max width in, and the max width is usually in pixels. Not always, but usually. And then I'll just put a max width of 900 pixels. So now it stops growing. Great. All right, we put in a nav tag, so let's just go ahead and style it, just that way we know that we have time. Okay, so nav, and then I just want some space on the bottom. So as a review, this number is from the top, right, bottom, left. Okay, so just kind of moving things around. And comments, let's not forget comments. So add space below closing nav. There we go. Perfect. What is that? Okay, there we go. Let's go in and save this. So I'll save, Command or Control S, come in and refresh. There, we just put that little bit of space in there. Let's style the actual A tags. So let's do nav space li space a. Okay, so what exactly is that styling? Nav lia. That's styling an A tag that's inside of an li, but only if it's inside of a nav. So only style these A tags. Why is that helpful? Well, what if I had a link right here, like an A tag right here? You know, maybe this was sending us to Eric Johansson's actual website. So this would be an A tag. I don't want this to be styled with it. I want to do that one different. So that's why we use these descending selectors. All right, let's give it a background color. Okay, so here is where you can right click and come down to color picker and choose whatever color you want. So you'll see it's in RGB right now, but you can come up here and choose hexadecimal. If you want it to have some transparency, you could do that as well. We're just going to stick with the hexadecimal, and yeah, sure. Let's actually, no, I don't want it to be that bright red. Let's do like a green. There we go. Okay, so we've got a green. Now, if we just save this as is and come and refresh, the green is only right behind the text, and that doesn't really look right. So if we want the green to actually take up the entire width of that space and for it to be clickable, then we need display block. So makes whole width clickable, and it extends the background color to fill that width. I need to come up and go to view, toggle soft wrap. Okay, so I'm going to save this, come in and refresh. So now the green goes the whole way across. Okay, so that's what display block did. It turned it into a block level element. And a little bit of padding, move text around on the inside, and then text align center, color. Yay, look at that. Okay, and then we definitely want to do the hover. And I'll just change the background color. choose color picker, and obviously you can choose whatever color you want. What is that? Perfect. Okay. And there's the pigments kind of show me what colors I'm going for here. There we go. All right. So some other things I would do, like maybe I would go into main, or I would just put some tag around this area right here and tell it to have margin or padding, so that way the text isn't touching the edge of the screen. Like that could be really helpful. So whenever you're working on your demos and your assignments, the last thing that you want to do before you submit is you want to validate your code. So let me go in and close these other things. So let's just say that we were done at this point. What you would do is you would go to the HTML validator link and go to validate by direct input. Go to your HTML, highlight it all. So click inside of here and hit Command or Control A, and then Command or Control C, and then paste it into this box and hit check. So what this is doing is telling you if you have any errors in your code. So it's actually pretty helpful. So let me force an error. So let me say, like, I won't close that H1. So let me select it all, copy and paste again. Hopefully it tells me. Yeah, warnings are fine, but errors are bad. Okay, so yeah, just that one thing that I changed, look at how many errors it came up with. All right, so heading cannot be a child of another heading. So what that's saying is that because this H1 is open, now it looks like that there's an H1 inside of an H1. And it's going to look like there's a paragraph inside of an H1 and an image and a main, like it's just messing so many things up. So this is kind of a way to tell you if you actually coded everything the way that you were supposed to. If you didn't have an alt attribute, it would actually tell you that you need an alt attribute because it is required. It's not just some random thing that I came up with to make it required. It's an actual thing. So it is kind of a way to help you get a better grade before you submit to me, because a lot of times those little errors are things that students forget about, and this could help raise your grade some. Okay, the other one is the CSS validator. You do the same thing. You click on that CSS validation link. They are two separate links. You cannot do the same thing with both or with one link. Click on by direct input. Go to your CSS. Same thing, Command or Control A, Command or Control C. And again, the Command or Control A is to select all. That's what that does. Paste and then check your code. You want the green bar there. That means you did it right. And you're good. That's pretty much it. Okay. So just, some quick things that we went over, talking about links a little bit and styling them, styling images, adding things in. If you need a reminder, let me put this back in. For comments, I'm going to do closing nav tag. Obviously, you would do this whenever you have a ID or a class, but I just want to remind you what an HTML comment looked like. All right, so hopefully this video was helpful. You may have had to pause it a few times to kind of go back to it, but that is one of the benefits of this being pre-recorded, is that you're able to do that. So as always, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. That's all that I have for this demo.